Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Friday trading. So maybe they give us some range. It's not typical that there's a lot of volume and participation, but there could be some tax harvesting, right? Where people take their losses and try to harvest them against their gains. So just keep that in mind. And silver had a really bad sell-off just not too long ago, about 10% drop really quickly. So we'll see how that plays out. But nonetheless, let's just kind of take a look where we are. I'm on ES. You guys are welcome to use H, right, and see that through this scope and this lens. On ESH, you don't have prior all-time high, at least not on my chart. I don't know if that's what you guys had as well. So on ES, when you guys look at them, this would be the prior all-time high, and we are kind of above it now. So when you zoom out, it's really important that we do what once we break out this level.
Move away from it.
Well, we want to move away from it, but you definitely don't want to lose this level, right? This is not the level that you necessarily want to lose, because if you do lose this level here, there's a very high chance you're probably going to go back to this 2025 POC. And I suggest that you guys get familiar with, your yearly profile as we're about to conclude the year, just so you guys understand that. And this is our yearly profile. You will see the POC, your 2025 value area high. You might as well call it this. It's not going to change much here. So it's at the highs, and then you have a couple of distributions, right, that we had since some time here. And then the bottom one, and then you see another one that's here, this area. Ultimately, if they lose this top here, probably 2025 POC, and then I wouldn't be surprised if they visit back all the way 6,500, and then of course they can keep going between these distributions. But our main goal here is to watch what we do at 69.51. On Friday, you guys really had an inside day. So we'll take a look at that here on smaller time frames. We tapped the yearly value area high, obviously, but on SPY, we were kind of trading above it, and you'll see it here as well. And then we fell inside of it, right? So we went above, a little bit, look above and fail. So SPY has some opportunity here to fall really nicely, about 25 points or so. Well, maybe 30 points on SPY. So it's something to keep an eye on. It's not guaranteed that they can just keep going as they have, right, the next couple of days. But once we see the dailies and what they're doing, as of right now, on the higher time frame, 65, 69.51, 75 is our critical level. We don't want to go below that if you're a bull. When you zoom in on the daily and you look at kind of the structure that we've had, does this look like a pretty nice breakout from this prior 3-week balance, which was here? So this was our balance, right, that we were in, and you broke out of this. Does this look pretty good?
No.
Anyway.
No volume.
Yeah, the volume is not there, right? So obviously, as we're going up, the volume is kind of going down, which is the opposite of directional performance that you want to kind of go against, right? Typically, these moves tend to get filled quickly, right? And if you look on your profile on the weekly, it's kind of like a P shape with multiple distributions, right? Which tells you it's a couple of distros, right, on the breakout, which is okay, but there's no volume, right? And if you're truly breaking, ideally, you don't want to have a lot of, you break out and you immediately question yourself, should we stay here? Is this good? You didn't really break out much and you're already questioning yourself. So maybe not the best breakout, right? In terms of structure, it's pretty bad, right? When you look at this weekly profile, I mean, there's a lot of, there's a single print here that I would kind of watch on a weekly time frame. I'll probably put somewhere around here. And I would keep this one until it's cracked. Because once they lose this, I would say there's probably time for some puts. Load up one SPY and see how we do. Between the 2 days, right, that we had, you had the Friday inside of the Wednesdays. Is there anything that's kind of like, oh, this is interesting that happened on Friday? Let me zoom in so you guys can see it.
There's access.
Oh, there's access. What does that mean?
Found the sellers.
That means that we found some sellers, right? Access or selling tail or unfair high. It just means the price was not very, wasn't a fair price at this level. And the sellers took opportunity and offloaded this, right? So if you guys break this down a little bit like this, you have the A period, right? You open here and then you auction higher, you met lower, and then the B period went lower. Once you're able to crack this right here, right, between the A low, you see the majority of the time was spent below, right? Only a little bit towards the end did they kind of succeed there, right? So it is a selling tail, right? And there is access, and typically that's what you want to see. And tomorrow bears have a chance, right, to make a significant, change in the auction, and the one auction is ending, meaning the up auction is ending, and that we're maybe reversing. And in order to see that happen, what do you guys want to see kind of lost tomorrow?
That settle price,
Okay,
POC.
sure. What if we merge these together? Would it give you any clue? If it decides to do that?
Yeah, it's a double distro thing.
I mean, if you think about it, you have access now on the top, and if we can't agree inside this value tomorrow, which is not that, I think it was 11 points, it's not that big. The odds are we're not going to agree on this value tomorrow because the value is tight. And then you have IBH meeting with the 2-day value area low. I would say this is probably a pretty good level to kind of watch and see how we do, right? Why would this level be somewhat of importance right here?
Single print.
Single print. So what could they do here?
They could hold them or they could lose them.
You could also
Okay.
trap them, no?
Oh, you can do a trap here. So typically what happens, and you have to keep an eye on this, right? Tomorrow, if we go below, and I'm sorry, I don't know, this sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. Let's say they do something like this and they quickly regain this level. I would not look to here and short this, right? They're most likely going to run it all the way up to here somewhere, 87. And this level of the unfair high is going to be pretty important. Because if we get inside of this where the access was found with ease, what does that tell you about that access?
It's rejected.
Yeah, it's rejected. I mean, means that, the market buys are absorbing the limit sells, and there's a high chance we're going to continue higher. But for me, I would really watch about this 69, 69 level, I guess, magical level here. And this, 2-day value area low, I would add it on the chart just so I know relatively if I see buyers step in, and you could execute a really nice trap between these two levels as well. Like if they do something like this, maybe you wait here and then take a long and drive it, right? This would be probably the best setup for a long if we dip, lose, look below and fail, and then drive higher. This is what I would look for. You want to go long here. Okay. Here, considering the IB was, I think it was super wide. Let's see. This one was 72 to about 57. So I guess average or so, but Fridays was pretty wide. I would say that was pretty decent, 94 to 73, so about 21 points, which averages about 32. So it was below average both days. So if we're to lose this level, I would say the odds we're going to visit this here are pretty high. If they don't look below and fail, and let's say they're not able to get in above this level, then you can definitely short it to this area. Any questions on ES? I'd be careful long the next couple of maybe 2-3 days. Okay. I posted a couple of things on TTD. Not sure who had a chance to look at it. There's some unusual price action going on options, right? Somebody was selling deep in the money puts. Does everybody understand what that means?
No.
So why would one sell deep in the money puts?
Intrinsic value, maybe?
Oh, there you go. Tell me more.
Or maybe you can get a leap on it, I guess.
Okay, but these are deep in the money puts, so you're right about the intrinsic value, right? Because it's mostly intrinsic. I would say 95% of it's intrinsic, right?
They're trying to bring the value down, price of the stock.
Okay. What if the price goes up and you're selling the strikes? What happens to those puts and the premium?
You go down.
Who keeps the premium?
The guy who got them.
Exactly. So one way to finance yourself to buy something is to sell deep in the money puts, and you have to have deep pockets too. And typically, when you're selling such deep money in the puts, we say you know something. The behavior of somebody that's aware of something happening. No, but we'll find out. So somebody was selling, I think, a couple of $1 million, $12 million worth of in the money put on TTD. Tesla and all the big boys. I don't know if you guys ever do this, right?
Hey, Shorty, those puts were on TTD or ENPH?
I think it was TTD or maybe MPH if I'm mixing them up. One of the two had deep in the money puts, but we can find out which ones. It was like $12 million worth.
Okay.
When you combine all the Tesla, Apple, Meta, and NVIDIA, this is the yearly profile, right, that you're getting. And you can clearly see, right? I mean, if you go on the weekly chart, you know, since April, we had a run, and then basically they had 4 weeks up, and we still didn't make higher highs there on this, right? So ultimately, if you look at this and zoom in on the value, this is where they created value, right? Oops. This is their value right now, and it happens to be that we are right here. That's gonna basically could start a disaster for the stock market if these guys are to fall inside. Then you can kind of play out the 80% all the way to the bottom, which would be a pretty decent drop on the market, right? If they were to execute something like this. So about 30% drop. But just keep in mind some of these high levels that you have on the big boys, right? And all I did is just combine them. And you know, you're welcome to separate them and look at them. But look at Apple. So just lose this little area here. Lose this, and you have really some massive fixing to do, and all the way to about 240. So about $33 drop, and I wouldn't be surprised if they come all the way to this POC of 211. I would keep an eye on Amazon. They're gonna have news soon regarding some AI stuff. So just keep an eye on it. If they give us an opportunity somewhere in this area, about 200 to 195, I'll probably start acquiring Amazon at these levels. Another one is AMD. Keep an eye on it. They do have an agreement for OpenAI. If you guys know, about $600 per share. If AMD reaches that, then OpenAI is going to get a stake ownership in AMD. So you better believe that there's going to be things of manipulation in the price to get it there. If we can get anywhere close to about 160 on this to buy back, or 187 start buying back in, probably not a bad idea. And then MU is just going crazy. It's going parabolic. So this one's, I don't think this one's going to slow down anytime soon. All right. Those are just some of the major stocks. I'll trade live tomorrow and see if the price action is boring, then I'll probably jump off and see what New Year brings in. But I'll jump in probably around 9:30, 9:40 and trade live with you guys tomorrow.
Thanks, Shorty.
All
Sounds
right.
good. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you,
See you
Shorty.
guys.